What if our deepest desires in life, they're not actually our own? And what if the crises we face, wars, economic inequality, even cancel culture, what if they're all symptoms of something deeper, which is our inability to manage desire? In this video, we're going to explore a powerful idea from the book Wanting by Luke Burgis. I reviewed it on the channel last week. I'll link that down below. Today, we're looking at the specific idea from Burgis and Girard, whose work this book is based off of, which is the three inventions that society has used to keep us from tearing ourselves apart. We're going to start with a foundational understanding of mimetic desire, just in case you are not familiar with Girard's work. Then we'll move to the three inventions. The third invention might surprise you. In fact, we kind of need your help defining it, so stick around for that. The problem of mimetic desire is that desire isn't born in a vacuum. According to Girard, we learn what to want by watching others. That's what he calls mimetic desire. And we imitate the desires of those around us: peers, rivals, celebrities, influencers. But the imitation doesn't stop at admiration of these folks. It can lead to rivalry, conflict, and even violence. If we don't have a way to channel or diffuse that energy, society begins to fall apart. So, how have humans responded? Girard and Burgis in this book identify three major inventions in history that helped us survive the dangerous consequences of mimetic desire. The first invention, you've heard of it before, the scapegoat mechanism. Maybe you throw that term around, but in ancient society, it was no laughing matter. When tensions rose and chaos threatened the group, people would unite and mitigate this desire by projecting their conflict onto a single person or group. They would sacrifice them through physical violence. As Burgis puts it, the scapegoat mechanism prevented a society in crisis from destroying itself from within. It worked in a very paradoxical way. The scapegoat mechanism contained violence through violence. So instead of all against all, now it's all against one. And this had a stabilizing effect, but it was brutal and over time less effective. So think about a pagan ritual in which the blood of a goat is literally sacrificed at the altar. In modern society, this scapegoating hasn't disappeared. We don't necessarily sacrifice animals at an altar anymore, but we still do some scapegoating. It just looks different. Cancel culture, public shaming, viral outrage. As Girard warned, we've become desensitized to it. The old ritual doesn't work like it used to. That's going to lead us to invention number 2, the market economy. So scapegoating declines and the market economy emerges. Well, what's the idea behind the market economy? Well, we're going to channel our desire into competition over goods, services, and innovation instead of people. The market economy channels mimetic desire into productive activities, says Burgis. So instead of physically fighting your rival, now you just out-earn them. Instead of sacrificing them, drawing your sword, drawing your pistol, you just out-create them. This system has led to massive human flourishing. It also has its flaws. It produces its own victims. Those who don't have access to markets, who get crushed by winner-take-all dynamics. It turns life into a zero-sum status game. So that brings us to today, which is the need for a third invention. As globalization and technology continue to amplify desire, here's what Burgis has to say. The preservation of humanity might rely on a third invention, one that is yet to be discovered, or that is actually in the process of being discovered. So what could that be? Burgis speculates it might be a kind of technological superstructure, a new way of channeling desire without resorting to violence. He says maybe it's something beyond scapegoating, the first invention. Maybe it's beyond consumerism, the second invention. Maybe it's a spiritual renewal, reimagining of success and status, building communities that cultivate non-mimetic desire or authentic desire that's grounded in truth and not imitation. If you listen to the previous video, you know that's called thick desire versus our thin desires, which are just what everyone wants around us. We can identify true desires within us if we have the courage to combat thin desires. And that video that I'll post down below walks you through exactly how you can do it. So I want to actually now open up the book and go to a few of Burgis's quotes specifically on the third invention, and I want to relate them to some modern day innovations. Some folks are working on some of these things that Burgis say could be the third invention. So he has to say, as far as the technological superstructure, it might be an invention that brings about an evolution in money, which makes it easier to measure and reward value creation at the individual level. So when we relate that to what we know in terms of innovation that's around us today, something like Bitcoin might jump out. Not necessarily a meme coin, which you can just print endlessly, but a scarce, ironically, a scarce resource in which a governing body cannot print more of, and as a result, users of that currency aren't subjected to inflation, an inflationary event in which a governing body above them causes, such as printing more of that resource. So that's an example. Maybe it's an invention that accelerates space exploration and colonization so that humans have entirely new parts of the cosmos to explore, and therefore will be less focused on destroying each other. I don't know if that's necessarily the answer, but I do know that folks like Elon Musk and SpaceX or Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin are obviously working towards those things. Even Eric Schmidt, I believe, has a company that has to do with some sort of asteroid mining, Eric Schmidt being the former CEO of Google. Here's my favorite one. It might be an invention in education that makes it easier for each person to carve out their own track. Because what is carving out your own track? Well, it's refining your desires. What do I truly want? What do I feel like I'm called to do? I think this one most directly hits on Girard's desire, or rather notion of mimetic desire. I also think that this one is the most attainable on a shorter term basis. So as folks throw around the word like post-capitalism, what does it look like after consumerism? We have to be thinking about this third invention so that we can achieve that next step, if there is a next step, in a sustainable way. Let's close with Burgis here. I'm doubtful that the internet is the third invention. It seems to me to be exacerbating more violence than it quells. In the absence of a new social invention, all we can do is what we can do. That starts with how we shape and manage our own desires. So at the societal level, we're not quite there with the third invention. That shouldn't prevent you from uncovering your thick desires. If you want to go ahead and work towards uncovering more of your thick desires, like I said, I did an hour-long review of this book. All these post-it notes here, these are all the interesting parts I found in the book, and so I cover that in the hour-long podcast. And there's no substitute for reading it yourself, so I'll go ahead and show this to the camera one more time. This is Wanting by Luke Burgis. I highly enjoyed it. I think if you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy it too. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. If you have any ideas or thoughts on the third invention, what that might be, go ahead and drop a comment below.